Hello everyone and welcome to Kay's Cakes. We are back with the MCU Bake-a-Thon today. Moving on to Iron Man 2. Now Iron Man already got his bake, but who do we meet for the first time in Iron Man 2? We meet Black Widow. So she has yet to get her own movie. I know there's one coming out, but there are 6 movies in Phase 1 and there's 6 OG Avengers, so therefore they all get their bakes in Phase 1. So we are making Black Widow's Black Forest Cupcakes today. A Black Forest Cupcake is chocolate and cherry, and it's not just chocolate cherry flavor. We also are going to have cherries actually in the filling and on the top, and this lovely cherry liqueur in the batter, and the filling, and the glaze, I'm pretty sure. So let's get started. I've been really excited about this recipe, but we had to take a break and do a different episode last month. So let's get to it. Alright, my oven is already preheating. It's at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then, you know, line the muffin tins. These aren't really on character for Black Widow, but I think they're cute. Muffin pans are lined. Now, oven's preheated. Muffin pan has its liners. So the first thing we're gonna do is we are gonna take, thank you oven. We're gonna take 1 cup of soy milk. You could probably do this with any non-dairy milk. I don't think it matters, but we're gonna do soy milk today. So we have 1 cup right there, and to that 1 cup we are going to add a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Now, it's a little bit of an unusual ingredient, but I'm going to tell you what this does. What this does is makes an improvised buttermilk, because buttermilk is basically, you can improvise it by adding acid to milk, and apple cider vinegar doesn't have a particularly strong taste, so that's the acid we're using. And I'm going to leave that to kind of curdle for a couple minutes. While that's happening, oh wait, no, I need to whisk that. I lied. Okay. I'm going to whisk together and then set aside for a few minutes. So it'll kind of curdle. You know how buttermilk is kind of thicker than regular milk? So we want it to kind of get like that. So while that's sitting, I'm going to put together my dry ingredients. So our dry ingredients are going to be flour, cocoa powder, baking soda, baking powder, and salt. 1 cup all-purpose flour. I don't have it in my fancy jar today because somebody put bread flour in that jar by mistake, and I didn't want to mix them up. So it doesn't look as nice, but you know, it's just flour. So 1 cup flour, 1/3 of a cup cocoa powder. Any kind of cocoa powder will do, it doesn't matter. This is the Hershey's cocoa. So 1/3 of a cup of that. And what else? 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. So I have, that's a half. This is really unusual. These measuring spoons actually have a 3/4 of a teaspoon, which I've never seen before. But that makes it easier. Alright, 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon baking powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Love these measuring spoons. Keeps everything together. Alright, so those are my dry ingredients. I'm just gonna whisk them together a little bit, so they're all in there together. Okay, good. Back to our fake buttermilk. I'm going to now add sugar and vanilla extract. And you can do almond, chocolate, or more vanilla extract. I'm going to use almond today. Oh, and also canola oil. Oh, that's an important part. Obviously there's no real butter in the recipe, so we need a butter substitute. So it's canola oil. You see how this kind of has a funky look on top? That's exactly what it should look like. It looks like, sort of like buttermilk. So we're gonna do 3/4 of a cup of sugar. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. We're gonna add 1/3 of a cup of canola oil. I love my fancy pour bottles. So I took my tablecloth off the table because I think the table is easier to clean by itself after last time I was, not last time, but a little while ago. Last when we filmed at the table, spilled maple syrup all over the tablecloth and it wasn't fun to clean, so. Alright, so there's the sugar, the canola oil. We're gonna add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So there's my teaspoon vanilla. And again, this next one you can use almond, chocolate, or more vanilla extract, but I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. I've never actually seen chocolate extract, and I wanted to give it a little bit more dimension than just adding more vanilla. That's why I went with almond. But up to you. Okay, so there's our wet mix. So we're going to beat this until it gets kind of foamy. Want to beat it until it gets a little bit foamy. You see the bubbles in there, that's what we're going for, just to make sure the sugar and everything is really integrated into this mix. I'm going to add my dry ingredients. Okay, so add my dry ingredients and then mix until it's not lumpy. Should be a nice chocolate batter. That looks pretty good to me. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of our cherry liquor. I have Luxardo, it's a maraschino, and it's not very strong, but it'll just give that extra flavor. It's like 0.32%. Certainly smell it. So we have our batter done. Now I just need to fill the cupcake tins. I generally go with about 1/4 cup per cupcake, but generally you want it to be like 3/4 of the way full. Like right now I'm actually using 1/3 cup. I'm not quite pouring the whole thing in, but you want them to be, you want to leave room for them to grow because they will grow in the oven. And if you fill the whole thing, then it's just gonna explode, basically. So these are gonna go in the oven for 18 to 20 minutes, just until you can get a knife out clean. I'm gonna pop these in the oven. While the cupcakes are in the oven, we're going to move on to the frosting. So this is going to be a basic buttercream. I've struggled with buttercream in the past, but I think I finally figured it out. So this, we got half a cup of vegan butter. So half a cup of the vegan butter is 1 stick, and to that I'm going to add half a cup of vegetable shortening, which on the shortening, half a cup is half a stick, and I think I know which half I'm using because it's just trying to open itself. To that, to my butter shortening combo, I'm going to add 3.5 cups of powdered sugar. And 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So 1 tablespoon. Half a tablespoon is a 1/4 cup of soy milk. Alright. This might make a mess. So the frosting's pretty easy. I basically just put all the ingredients in a bowl and I'm gonna beat it with my electric mixer. Alright, that is a very thick vegan buttercream. Ta-da! Alright, I'm going to clean up a little bit and then we're going to transfer over to the stove. Okay, so now we're going to make the filling. So our filling is going to be cherries and a mix of some other stuff. Here I have a thawed bag, 10 ounces of cherries that were frozen, they're pitted, there's no stems, they're ready to go. What you're gonna do is put these cherries and the juice, everything, into a pot and turn that on to like medium-high. So combine your 10 ounces of thawed cherries with 2 tablespoons of sugar and over medium heat, stir until it begins to simmer. Alright, while that's coming to a simmer, I'm gonna add together a tablespoon cornstarch. You can also use arrowroot if you have any. I don't, so cornstarch it is. And then 3 tablespoons of either pomegranate juice or water. I'm just gonna do water. 1, 2, 3, and whisk that together. And we wait. Alright, starting to simmer. So now this cornstarch water mixture, I'm gonna add, steadily pour into the cherries. So we're gonna just add it a little, like slowly, into the cherries, not onto the stove. And then stir constantly so the mixture can thicken. Okay, I'm going to take this off the heat, now that it's nice and thick. One last thing, we're going to add a tablespoon of our cherry liqueur. Okay, so that is our filling, and now it is time to start the assembly. And here is how this is going to look. So I've got my cupcakes, I've got my glaze, I have my frosting over there. Not my glaze, my filling, excuse me. So I'm going to cut a section out of the middle. It's not, basically, you're going to scoop out, cut out the center of your cupcake. The reason why this one is a glaze, the reason why I'm waiting now to make it is because we want it to be nice and warm when you add it to the cake. This one is really simple. 3 tablespoons of my cherry liqueur and 1 tablespoon sugar. 3 tablespoons cherry liqueur and 1 tablespoon sugar. I'm going to use my tiny whisk again. Just mix that up. And also 2 tablespoons water. And we're going to bring that to a boil over medium heat. Hopefully my stove is a little bit warmer now. And we're going to reduce it to simmer. So now we actually have everything ready. We've got multiple components here. Cupcakes, cherries in the sauce, a glaze, and the frosting is off to the side. Remove from heat to cool. And make sure you put it on the cupcakes while it's still warm, so that's why we waited. I'm gonna just get a little spoonful and drizzle it into the center of each cupcake. And whatever's left is also going to be brushed on the top, so I have my silicone pastry brush. So there's our glaze. So it's going to soak into the cake. Now we want to add the cherries. So you should be able to put 1 or 2 in each cupcake. And then put your cones, or the center of your cupcakes that you set aside, back on. So now I'm just loading, or trying to load, it's very quick, loading my frosting into my piping bag. If you don't have a piping bag, totally don't worry about it. Basically, you put your glaze in the center, you put your filling in the center, you put a dollop of frosting, and then you try to put the cake cones back on. And once your cupcakes are prepared, you can just, use a butter knife or whatever you want to add your frosting. I have the piping bag and a nice tip, so I'm going to do that. I'll just pipe. It's a little overfilled, actually. It's going to come out the top of the bag. Couple final touches. I'm going to add some chocolate curls. So I have this semi-sweet baker's chocolate. So to make chocolate curls, I'm just going to run a vegetable peeler over it. That didn't work. So it's basically like cocoa powder. And there's a reason we still have all these extra cherries. I'm going to top my cupcakes each with 1. Alright, and now you have your lovely Black Forest Cupcakes. You're ready to watch Iron Man 2 and meet Black Widow. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe if you like what you saw here today. If you want to see more of the MCU Bake-a-Thon, we're going on to Thor next. Let me know if there are any recipes you would like me to try to veganize. Leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next one.